more as a publicity stunt and as really kind of an interesting use of her power. She really did put a wholehearted effort into trying to sue it. She was a third-rate lawyer, I think, who tried to, you know, when they came to court, they had no case prepared, and the thing was thrown out of court immediately. So I think it was really just to get more publicity. Certainly didn't hurt the movie at all, and I thought it was kind of a birthday present.
It's good. We're going to leave you now with some never-before-scenes, behind-the-scenes footage of the making of a certain sacrifice. This came way before Truth or Dare in her career.
That's correct.
And there was some fun on the set.
Oh, sure. Madonna was always up and had a lot of energy, always knew her lines, and was always able to improvise. And as you can see in this clip, she was having fun singing on the set. As a matter of fact, this is the first time I saw her sing.
Okay. Stephen, thank you for sharing your memories of Madonna moments. When it comes to revelations, we're only just beginning to get warmed up. Glad you came to the party. Everybody at the party's waiting to listen to a television premiere. It's Madonna's 1979 demo disc, the one that actually helped launch her career. As we listen to Love on the Run, please remember that later Madonna fought to stop this ever being played. Well, I think it still could be a hit. Vogue-wise, Madonna has come a long way since her first manager and mentor, Camille Barbone, discovered her. She's never talked about those early days until tonight. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Robin. It's nice to be here.
You've never, ever given a television interview about those early days. Why are you breaking your silence?
Well, it's come to a culmination for me over the years. I mean, I've read numbers of interviews by Madonna, people writing stories, other TV shows, and you get the impression that Madonna did it all alone. And I'm just here to say that there were a number of people in the old days, and there are a lot of people now that helped to make Madonna the star she is.
That's great. You get a lot of credit for discovering her. How did you actually find Madonna?
Well, our paths crossed at a place in New York City called the Music Building. It's 12 stories of nothing but music, recording studios, rehearsal studios. I owned a studio there. We kept banging into each other in hallways and elevators, and she was just a very interesting person to watch. Eventually, I got to hear demo, and eventually I went to a show, and I saw her live, and I knew in an instant that she was
What
gonna
did you
be big.
know in that instant?
Madonna has an extraordinary ability. She understands what I call it's body-mind coordination. She knows how she looks. And when she's on stage and dealing with the music, she gives the audience a feeling of being inside her and knowing what she's feeling. And it's in very few performers. I'd say only the ones that have made it very, very big, like a Michael Jackson, like a Bruce Springsteen, possess it.
Camille, we know that nothing ever happens overnight stardom in show business. Those were early days that were struggling, that were painful.
They were terrible
Just how
days.
broke was Madonna?
She came to New York. She had 2 suitcases and a guitar. No place to live. She was living in the Music Building.
Homeless.
Yes, definitely homeless. She didn't have any money for food. I mean, she would go on a date and have dinner. She would ask someone to loan her some money. I mean, she really came to New York with just her dream. And when I found her, it was important to make her feel secure and taken care of. So the first thing I did was move her out of the Music Building. She wanted to live on 30th Street. She found a small room. She loved it. She lived there 2 weeks and was robbed. They only took her photographs. really upset us both, so I moved her right out of there to a small apartment on the Upper West Side.
And what we're going to do now is listen to one of the very first records that Madonna made with you. It is called High Society, and we're going to take a look at some of your exclusive photos at the same time.
Wonderful.
Oh, you're society's boy. You make some little rich girl a toy. My mistake, didn't think that you'd be another victim of a high society. Your high society.
Now, Camille, you invested a lot of time in Madonna.
Mm-hmm.
What was the reaction, first of all, when people heard that record?
Well, ironically enough, the music industry was not taken by her demo tapes. I mean, it was more Madonna the person, more the presence. I found that the best way to have a good meeting at a record label was to bring Madonna, because she's a personality. It wasn't ever this great musical genius. It was the entire package and her ability to sell herself.
So there were a lot of no's along the road in the early day, but you deeply believed she was going to wind up being a superstar?
Of course. I mean, I've often felt like Chicken Little running around saying the sky is falling. Everyone's going to me, what? I don't get it. I don't understand. I'm saying you will understand. There's a bigger vision here. And I think the first go-around yielded all no's, everyone. And it's a process in the industry. I mean, you do have to go through a number of passes towards your ultimate goal. And ultimately, I got Columbia Records to really, really get involved and listen and pay attention to her.
Now, unfortunately, there came a rather nasty parting of the ways that wound up in an ugly lawsuit. What actually happened?
Well, while I was working with Columbia, a deal, Madonna was basically working with another set of people in the music industry. It's a very funny business. You don't know you have a hit until people try to steal it from you. Then you know you have it, and it's time to really scramble. And unfortunately, my company was 4 years old, and I really believed in what I was doing with Madonna, and I had a certain approach, and unfortunately, I think with every part of Madonna's life, I wasn't moving as quickly as she wanted to move.
Did you pretty much sacrifice everything and put everything else on the back burner to put her towards stardom?
Yes, I begged, I borrowed, I cajoled people to loan me money to begin her career. It takes a lot of money to put together a career. I lost everything in the process. I lost my studio. I had to drop all my other artists, but it was worth it. I knew she would be the ultimate success.
Now, unfortunately, you didn't get in on the winning end of the return. Have you ever figured out how much money you may have lost because of the fact that she went on elsewhere?
Well, first off, I did get on the winning end. I wanted to discover and develop and manage a superstar, and I did do that. So for me, it's a total success. But for the sake of dollars and cents, I think it's about $1,000. I had a contract for 20% of her gross. So I guess over the years, that's the figure.
I think, though, that's what's wonderful is that you're still smiling about it, and that tonight you shared some secrets with us.
I learned a lot. I mean, it was a wonderful experience, and I'm applying it to the clients that I have today.
That's great. Let's take a listen now to one more of Madonna's never-released tapes, and we're going to watch it along with some never-before-seen photographs from Camille Barbone's collection. This is the music of Get Up.
Sunny and it starts to rain, and you don't think it's funny, so
It's got that sound. Camille, thanks so much for playing the tapes and for such an amazing background on a star we only thought we knew. I think we should go back to the party for some more fun.
Wonderful. Thanks, Rob.
Just ahead, we'll meet the former boyfriend who clinched Madonna's first record deal, only to lose her love. Stay with us.
Just months before Madonna struck gold in '83, she was a struggling unknown craving for attention with a raw performance at a New York night spot. This dynamite footage shows Madonna on the very brink of her big break and making all the right moves.
You're confusing me. 'Cause I don't know if you want me. But I know that I want you. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. What are you gonna do?
They sure were key steps to stardom, because only a year later, Madonna was atop the charts. Her success was largely her own making. But as our dear friend Alan had discovered, she also had a little help from her friends.
The diva of downtown disco made tracks for the top almost by divine plan. She slipped her demo disc, Everybody, to DJ boyfriend Mark Kamens, sat back and waited for the bang.
First single went to number 3 on the Billboard Dance Chart and number 1 on WBLS radio in New York City.
Her '83 debut album led to a European tour and put her on the cover of Rock's Bible. It was perfect payback for all those years as a struggling unknown. A top record promoter recalls her unstoppable force.
And those records went on the radio, got played in the clubs. You went everywhere. You heard Madonna.
She upstaged Rosanna Arquette in '85 to become an instant movie star in Desperately Seeking Susan. Inspired self-parody at the MTV Awards then spawned Madonna Mania. Madonna! Madonna! Like a Virgin hit sales exceeding 6 million. Music insiders say her success was inevitable. Bobby Shaw knew she was going places from those early club performances. When Madonna moved, people grooved.
She had charisma, but I guess the one thing that she really had was the drive.
Ah, but which drive? Biographer Chris Anderson says Madonna and Erica Bell committed moving violations in record company limos. He describes them cruising through rough neighborhoods for jalapeno-hot Latino youths. Erica denied to Robin anything spicier than a backseat burrito.
I mean, it was this car that you could just take anywhere in New York City and say, wait for me. And they would wait, you know. It was this new thing, you know. It's like poor girl plays rich.
Anderson's book also records them trolling discos for men with promising moves. Erica says poppycock. They weren't into that kind of workout.
Well, it didn't start until usually after midnight. And would go until usually 4 in the morning at least. And we would just get in the middle of the floor and try to just take up as much room as possible and dance as hard as possible and really work out.
Erica says their lust for life was always governed by driving ambition.
We knew we had to get up and go to a studio, or she was going to the recording studio at the time. And, you know, there's a certain line that you never cross. And I think the two of us, and I think she still can watch the fire, but doesn't get too close to let it burn. I was always kind of surprised that she could handle it so well. I thought, this is kind of a game. But she was very serious.
The producer of the 7-time platinum Virgin album recalls Madonna was always acting as a star, even before becoming one.
In the very early days, she and I would go out together when we were trying to just sort of develop our relationship and figure out how we were going to work together. And I remember going to a restaurant with her, just a cheap little sushi bar on University Place. And I remember walking in and I'm hearing all these people going, who's that girl? Who's that girl with Niall? Who's that girl?
That girl ultimately sold over 75 million albums. Niall says such super success comes from knowing what people will buy.
I'm always amazed at Madonna's incredible judgment when it comes to making pop records. I've never seen anyone do it better, and that's the truth. I've never, ever seen anyone who's got a more impressive track record than Madonna.
That sentiment is echoed by a producer who gave her more than hits. Madonna never gets it wrong.
She has the ability to try new things and always be right. And that's really amazing to see an artist, I mean, at this point, she's had 21 top 10 hits in a row. Never been anything like it since Elvis Presley or maybe the Beatles.
Our DJ for tonight's live Palladium party is one of New York's hottest, Mark Kamens. Now, Mark is one of Madonna's old friends, and you really got her career started.
Yes, I was DJing at Dancer Terry, and Madonna brought me a cassette, and I played it, and the crowd went wild.
They did.
And we finally got a record deal, and I produced the first single.
Now, do you still talk to her?
No?
Well, she's probably watching. If you have a message for her, go ahead.
Madonna, if you'd like to make another record, give me a call.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, as Robin discovered, Madonna's love life is indeed one for the books, the record books.
Luke Perry, Katie Lang. Luke Perry, Katie Lang. I'm so confused.
So are we. Madonna is a sly sexual contradiction, playing pop-tart temptress one moment, ladies loin ranger the next. A writer who has studied her concludes that she really gets off by showing off.
From the time she was 5 years old, she realized that by being flirtatious, using feminine wiles, got her what she wanted. And it got her attention. And she seems to have a desperate kind of neediness for attention.
Motivation aside, those touched seem to then crave her, some to possess, others to worship. Most are like her first video producer, drawn closer for reasons they know not.
She's, you know, a nice-looking person, but she's no model, I think. But once you get to know her, she's extremely sexual, very alluring, very strong, yet you want to be close to her, you want to touch her.
Madonna's super sex secret? Less is more.
When you're independent, when you do your own thing, when you are your own person, you do whatever you want to do. When you pull away, when you're not so concerned with impressing, then the other person is very interested.
Technique aside, it all adds up to a diva's dark dilemma. A world-famous sexpert analyzed her need to be adored.
In my mind, Madonna doesn't think that she's very lovable to a man deep down. And so she places an impossible burden of proof on any man who would love her.
Her sexual history reveals a legion of lovers, beginning with the 15-year-old Michigan minx's first time with her high school boy toy. Fast forward to the East Village vixen graduating with gusto. One early conquest has never broken his silence until now.
Madonna was definitely a sexual being, but not in the same sense of wearing, you know, lace panties and torpedo bras. I mean, it was just kind of an animal sexuality. She called me up one day and said, "Get your gorgeous Brando body over here." So her line was, her approach was always very direct. I mean, she didn't, you know, mince words or wait around and be coquettish. I mean, she definitely went after things she wanted.
The DJ she dumped after he helped launch her career says Madonna believes in safety in numbers.
It was frustrating being her boyfriend because Madonna always had 2 or 3 boyfriends at the same time. And I guess every boyfriend played a different role.
Another casualty was a hit record producer she even took home to meet Dad, and serious enough to talk marriage and babies with. But they split when her wanton ways made him jealous. Still, he's no sourpuss.
Madonna is one of a kind. There will never be another one like her.
Her 1985 marriage to Sean Penn was a high-tension power connection doomed to crash and burn. Madonna's explanation?
Our opposites attract.
Though Madonna filed a police report pertaining to Penn's bedroom violence, the whisper persists that she still holds a candle for him. Despite his subsequent children with actress Robin Wright, an ace paparazzo believes they are still destined for each other.
He is the most important person that's been in her life so far. She really loves him. I think she still loves him.
As for that 1990 tumble with her Dick Tracy co-star, it's now suggested that Boffo box office may have been the real driving force. The gal who really knows her says no way was Madonna serious, probably just being sociable.
I don't think she was that interested. No. I think she dated him because she could.
More knots were tied with nude pin-up Tony Ward. That was eventually snuffed out, supposedly over love in leather. The paparazzo says no way, Madonna just couldn't keep track of her men.
Like in New York, she has James Albright as a boyfriend, the bodyguard. Out here, it's John Eno. He owns the Roxbury nightclub. So she has her boyfriends, she has her lovers wherever she goes.
As for her much-touted taste for ladies, this exclusive home video with former gal pal Sandra Bernhard says it all. Before their bust-up, they sure made beautiful music together. Then along came a doe-eyed Cuban beauty. Insiders say Madonna snatched her from Sandra, who was good and miffed. The writer who broke that story says Madonna is brazen about her bisexuality.
People have seen them nuzzling and kind of making out at parties. It's definitely on some level beyond just two gal pals that just like to go to the mall together.
Michael Musto sure doesn't beat around the bush when it comes to Madonna's taste. Now we're going to meet the lovely Janet Charlton, who's the gossip columnist of the Weekly Star magazine. Janet, welcome to the party. The hot news is this weekend, Madonna back with Sean Penn, spotted on the beach together in Malibu. Do they still, excuse the pun from Body of Evidence, burn the candle for each other?
Oh, you know, Madonna has never given up on Sean Penn. She always said he was the love of her life. And recently, even Sean Penn started swinging in Madonna's direction. For the first time, he told friends, gee, if I were married to her now, we would never have gotten divorced. I have a new appreciation for her. And this is the first time I'd heard that. That was a few weeks ago. So I'm not surprised that they're back together, at least seeing each other. And I'm sure Robin Wright is ready to slit her wrists.
We hear all these things every week from you. It's fabulous. Now, is there a real man in Madonna's life at the moment, or is she still on the prowl?
She's very vulnerable right now. She does not have a serious boyfriend. She's been seeing John Enos, but it's just kind of a cat and mouse kind of thing. She caught him driving around in her car with other women. So she's not totally thrilled with him to begin with. He's a very handsome guy, though, and they're having fun together, but it's not real love.
Now, Madonna's got a handsome new co-star in Snake Eyes with actor James Russo.
Yes,
Anything
James
happening
Russo.
between the two of them?
Well, I mean, it might have happened, but it didn't happen. Actually, Madonna invited James Russo out to dinner, I heard. And he said to her, is it business or pleasure? And she said, whatever you want. And he replied, well, if it's business, why don't we just go to lunch? And if it's pleasure, I'm gonna have to take a pass. He doesn't want to be flavor of the week for Madonna, and he didn't want to ruin their working relationship. Maybe he was really smart about it, and they're still friends and working together very well.
How are the relationships on the set of Snake Eyes
Well,
between Madonna and the rest of them?
Abel Ferrara, her director, and Madonna are battling every day. There are screaming fights all the time. He's making her grow her black roots for her character, and she really doesn't like that, and she has to go out at night looking kind of sloppy now. So she's not happy. And she's not happy because he is the boss. He's really telling her what to do, and Madonna is accustomed to calling the shots. And she owns Maverick, the production company, so she's battling with him every day.
Now, we do know from everything we've heard here tonight and from the weeks and months of research that we've been, Madonna does have a fascination with ladies, and there was a lady called Ingrid. We heard that Ingrid was way out, and Nina, who was the star of Black Orchid 2, is now the new girl in.
Well, now Ingrid is a friend of Madonna's. They've been friends for quite a while now, and I think they will remain friends for quite a while. She's not out totally. They're still friends. And as far as Nina Semetsko, Madonna was wooing her to be in her movie, Snake Eyes. She had a part for her. So I know they were talking about that and getting friendly, perhaps at a party, discussing the movie. I don't know of any kind of relationship that they have. I know Madonna enjoys the company of women. She's attracted to women, and she likes to flirt with the idea of romancing women.
Well,
but I think her true love is men.
Yeah, but there are strong rumors of her bisexuality. There is experimentation with the same sex.
And Madonna doesn't
true or
deny
not
it.
true?
Yeah, Madonna does not deny that, as far as I know.
Therefore, we must assume it's true.
I think it's probably true to an extent, but I believe in her heart she really wants a boyfriend like everybody else.
Get married, white picket fence, and a baby.
She's more normal than you think. She really wants a steady guy.
You heard it, Janet. You've certainly raised a few eyebrows out there tonight, and believe it or not, there are even more Madonna surprises just ahead.
Welcome back to Madonna Exposed and the Rock and Roll Party live at the Palladium in New York City. Our friend Cody Mundy had a unique experience. When you co-star with Madonna on Who's That Girl? Now, is she difficult to work with?
No, Eleanor, actually on our set, Madonna was no prima donna. She was great to work with. Remember the old days when you used to have sex without a condom on a Sunday morning? That's how great it was. She was great, not a problem.
I don't quite know what to say with that, so thank you very much, Cody. Madonna's winning a unique reputation on and off the set. But as we discovered, she's very serious about the movie career.
Beware of these eyes.
Name 3 classy, sassy sirens of the silver screen. Mae West, Marlene Dietrich, Marilyn Monroe. And you can bet your aisle seat that Madonna wants to make it a foursome. The only city she hasn't been offered the key to is the one she wants acceptance in so very much. A respected writer who spoke to Madonna about her Hollywood dream says that she's the ultimate wannabe.
I wouldn't say just Hollywood stardom, but film stardom is absolutely one of the most important things in Madonna's career.
Compounding her ache for acclaim, a dazzling debut that promised much yet delivered little. Entertainment Tonight's movie critic says she had it handed to her on a platter.
You could ask for a better showcase to get yourself started on screen than Desperately Seeking Susan. It was a perfect part for her. So perfect that you questioned whether she was acting at all. And that's a valid question. Was she acting? Was she sort of being herself? I don't know.
Madonna has blamed her big screen also-rans on unkind reviews, but many industry insiders claim her movies flounder at the bottom line, the box office. It was a field day with the abrasive stars, but Shanghai Surprise didn't sink because the couple were dubbed the Poison Pens. Its failure was a paltry $2.3 million in ticket sales versus the fortune it cost to make. 1987 saw fans pack Times Square for the premiere of Who's That Girl? Alas, moviegoers across the country said, who cares? Even earning over $7 million, it lost money. In her 1993 Howler, to be released on video cassette, Madonna played a killer using sex as the murder weapon. Yet the first casualty was Madonna herself. The critics had their fun, but such Hollywood reviewers as Martin Grove know that ultimately America makes the call at the box office.
Body of evidence. It was off 73% in its third weekend in release. That's terrible. And in fact, it's clear that at the box office for movies, Madonna is still a nobody.
Madonna, I'm sure, doesn't understand why the picture hasn't worked. Probably thinks it was the marketing, or they didn't spend enough, or the title was wrong, or the release time was wrong, or not enough theaters, or too many theaters. Anything but that Madonna didn't work. One wonders even why she wants to be an actress. She's very successful doing what she did best originally, and you know, why that isn't enough maybe says more about her than we'll ever know.
A top sociologist says Madonna's cinema sin was turning basic porn into a yawn.
I think that those scenes in Body of Evidence are boring. I think that they are mechanical. I think they lack any kind of eroticism. I think that Madonna has made a serious mistake in her choice of this vehicle and her choice of doing those scenes.
Infuriatingly for Madonna, not being the star in a movie virtually guarantees a hit. She may have worked for minimum scale dollars playing Breathless Mahoney in Dick Tracy, but she helped haul in a $103 million box office bonanza. She went to bat as one of a team, and it happened again. Madonna helped hit a $107 million homer. But her solo star movies grossed just $13 million average, barely covering the production costs. Those who know say she can't see the obvious. All that stands between the material girl and stardom is better material.
I talked to her about not succeeding as a movie star so far, and she felt that a lot of the problem had to do with the idea that she's such a strong personality. It was hard for her to get roles in which she could transcend or people could forget who she was.
But that problem didn't arise